Welcome to Unscripted with Russo. I'm your host, Ashley Russo, president and executive producer of The Peak TV. For our podcast, we decided to explore the people behind the narratives. I'll introduce decision makers and influencers who are winners in their field and find out the intimate story behind their rise to success. All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted with Russo. This week I have a very special guest, and we have had to stop all the laughter in this room just to get this introduction going. I have Tina Hasselbusch here from Social Team Marketing and PR, and of course she is ASR Media's Director of Marketing and my bestie. Aww. So Tina, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled.
We have a little rosé.
Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Okay, I'm a little like...
No, just be normal. Here, take a sip of your wine.
You don't want that.
You know what? Actually, I don't. Thanks
don't.
for being here and not being your normal self. We appreciate it.
Welcome. My pleasure.
So let's talk a little bit about how you and I connected, and then we'll go back in time to a little bit more about you growing up. But
okay.
Share the story of how you and I first met and got on this crazy adventure of working together.
No, it's an amazing story because we knew each other, through the years, and I knew Ashley as this force to be reckoned with. She would come into meetings. We were both supporting our children's school, and Ashley would come in and papers flying and sort of like, what do you mean there's no budget? What do you mean you don't understand? So it was just chaos and craziness. Where's your marketing plan? We're like, we're just a little PTO, lady. So I recognized, of course, her brilliance.
Oh, yeah.
Right away, mainly because of my own brilliance.
True.
And so, So I was working for the school, and I was thinking about doing something different, raising money, helping them promote the school. That's what I do, and I'm passionate about something. I'm all in. And so you cornered me in the parking lot. I barely knew you. I knew you enough to be like, hey, Ash, and that was about it. You jumped in my car. Yep. Literally jumped in the front seat.
I pulled over. You were walking.
Yes.
And I was like, I have to talk to you right now.
Exactly.
It was in the summer. We had
was.
just done the pilot for the Peak TV.
Yes.
So there really was no ASR Media yet.
No, there was nothing.
And we were just starting out, but I knew that I needed a brilliant marketing mind and a branding person around this. And you had the same kind of energy that I feel
guess
like
that
I
must
have.
have
And
been
I think
it.
we just
Yes.
connected on that level.
I think it was the energy.
But I don't know what I said to you. What did I say?
You said, so I'm starting this amazing thing, this amazing trip.
I think I said, I think it might be something amazing. I don't know yet.
You may have said that.
Yet.
That could be true. Okay. In my mind, I recreated it a little. But you did say that. You said this, I will never forget. I can't do it without you. And I was like, what? What do you... That vote of confidence carried me for the next 7 years. And I remember going home to Rich, my husband, and saying Ashley, he's like, Ashley, Ashley. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And telling him, and he's like, what?
It was a little out of the blue.
What do you know about video and television production and what? And I was like, I don't know, but I think I'm going to do it. And we were also in the process of moving, buying a new house. Right. So it almost felt, for me, in my crazy brain, I was like, this is exactly how it's supposed to happen because it's just a whole new phase and a whole new start.
Yeah, it was like a rebirth.
It was.
And not long after that was, I think, maybe the school was ending, right?
Yes.
And it was the summer we got together.
Yes.
This is 2012. Mm-hmm. And that September, we hired our very first team member, Katie Wallace, who's sitting in the room, which is why we're looking this way.
We're looking at Katie.
You moved in October, and that was it. We just
did it.
I don't know.
We just
look
did
back
it.
And we think it was a crazy time.
I know. And we used to just sort of run around and meet clients and just, actually, I have to say one other thing too. Ashley also said, I want you to take this ride with me. And she said, listen, at the worst thing, we'll never have to pay for lunch again. That's exactly what you said. we will go out and we will have fabulous lunches and we'll never have to pay for it.
That has worked really well for you because I still pay for lunch for you.
It's true, you do. Thank you so much for my ASR credit card. Ashley's like, what are all these charges?
Yeah. All right, well, before the Lehigh Valley, before ASR Media and Social T, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? And tell me a little bit about your family.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, I am the last of six.
The baby
of six. Yes, I am. And we grew up in Bucks County. In Lower Bucks County, and it was a great, crazy life with 5 older brothers and sisters.
Now, how many years older is the oldest?
Oh my gosh, the oldest than me is, I think he's 13 years older than me.
Oh, so he was a teenager when you were
I
born.
barely knew him.
Oh, that's
You
so,
know,
so
I mean,
funny.
it is kind of weird
Yeah.
because by the time I was even recognizing, oh, y'all are my siblings and I see you every day, he was already off at college. So, so really, my two older brothers are probably who. Well, no, I shouldn't say that because I'm very close with my sisters too. But my oldest brother, for sure, I feel like that was quite a distance, and he went away far to school, and then he went to graduate school, and then he moved to Alabama, and before, so there is that. I'm sure with other larger families, for us at that time, it was hard to stay connected.
What were you like as a kid? I mean, you're the baby of this, big family, Irish Catholic.
Yes.
How'd
you know?
Cool. That red hair gives it away every time.
Exactly. Oh my God. And the 6 kids.
Yeah, 6 kids. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But what's the dynamic? I mean, I know your parents, so tell me a little bit about Winnie and Bill, who are amazing people. And what was it like? I mean, I'm the oldest of a big family, so it's a
Right.
completely different, you pave the way, the rules are strict, the whole thing. What happens by the 6th kid, and what's the
Yes.
dynamic with your parents at that point?
Right. I think they were exhausted, for sure.
My dad always says that.
Yes.
As a baby, you're exhausted.
Exhausted,
Yeah.
for sure. And so and there is always that sort of older kid animosity with, oh, you got everything. You always got the car, and you got to go to the private school, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. So I did have that amazing benefit, which I will always be forever grateful to my parents, that also by that time they were able to do some better things for me and send me to great schools. And but all of my siblings went to college. Everyone did. So my parents, they definitely saw the value in education and made sure that we all were very well taken care of. So
What
it was
kind of
great.
kid were you? Because I really do have a picture of what I think you must have been like, but I don't really know. And if you think about yourself at 7 or 8, I mean,
Right.
describe little
Well,
Tina.
Well, little Tina apparently jumped on her tricycle once and made her way all the way to the pool, which I guess was, that was so far away. We lived in a neighborhood where they all had sort of a neighborhood pool that everyone could go to, a public pool. It was great. That was amazing. So at 3, I think I made my way there on a tricycle.
How long till they realized you were missing?
See, that's just it.
Nobody knew
was
for a
she?
while.
Which one? The 6th?
I'm not gonna.
Right.
I'm not gonna
We
lie.
should find her.
We, the collective family, may have left a couple siblings at church a few times
See?
because we thought the other parent had the kid.
Absolutely.
It happens.
It definitely
Builds
happens.
character.
It does.
What about sports activities? Like, what was your thing?
Right. Well, I played a couple of instruments. I played the clarinet. Started actually with the violin, which was very squeaky, and then went to the next squeaky instrument, which was the clarinet, which was equally as squeaky. But that was interesting. And then when I loved to run, so I did track and field. Went to Catholic school, so as you know, your options for sports are relatively limited. But I did do track and field, and then I was also a cheerleader.
I love
What
it.
a surprise.
I love it.
My
Yep.
big mouth.
Well, it's
Yeah.
a good place for it.
Yeah.
And you're a rallier. You like to rally behind
You're
things.
right. I am
Yeah.
a rallier for sure. So I think that was evident early on, and I was always a talker. All of my report cards, Tina talks too much. Tina's too social. She
Gosh,
talks
I wish
too
I was
much.
surprised to hear that.
I know.
I got
Year
a lot of
after
that
year.
too.
Did you?
Well, I did, yeah. I was a little bit, probably being the oldest, a little more of a brown noser. So I kind of knew how to gauge when to talk, but I
Oh.
definitely could figure out when to get my teacher's ear
Okay.
to get what I needed.
Okay. Yeah. There was no plotting.
didn't
or
have as much
scheming.
filter, maybe.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No filter. Absolutely not.
Unlike now.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Oh, sure.
Tell me about some of the early lessons you learned. I mean, for people who don't know you, you have tremendous work ethic. And of course, it's another thing I feel like I just saw right away and wanted to surround myself with people who were as insane about doing a job to the best of your ability every time. And I think that's amazing too, because you do have all of your siblings. You've really got great work ethic in your family. Where does that come from? And what were some lessons your parents instilled in you?
I think that is true. Yes, we all do have a very strong work ethic. I think that my mother probably was a big force in that. She was also very involved in the community when we were growing up. And we would, anytime that people would come over to visit or we'd meet them out, in the community, everyone's comment was always that, oh my gosh, we love your mother. Your mother is so awesome. She does whatever is needed. So I think there's a part of us that it's just part of our DNA.
Goes to show how amazing it is, though, when we take our own kids out into the community and they hear that hopefully about us, it's so cool to hear that made such an impression on you as a kid, right? To look back now and your mother is just such a warm and amazing woman still to this day. At how old? 90? 90. So God bless. She's so great.
I know.
Love that. So you saw that influence and you feel like that was in the background. What was your first job? What was the very first thing that you had a job doing?
Well, my very, very first job was delivering newspapers.
So many people have come in here and said that.
Is that right?
My brother had a route and I filled in for him.
Okay.
Which I thought was cool because I didn't have to do it all the time. But
Right.
I got to fill in for him, but I did love it. And
Yeah.
it was an interesting job that I don't think exists anymore. Does anyone do that? Do kids ride bikes and deliver papers?
No, I don't think so. I think now it's more of, I think it's like an adult job where they sort of drive. Because my
was yours passed
newspaper is on my driveway.
Like, did siblings do it and then that's how you got the gig?
I don't think so. That I don't remember, but I don't think so. What I do remember is having it was a weekly paper. So let's not get too excited. It wasn't every day. It was once a week. But I do remember having the papers delivered like on a Wednesday morning. And then that was my first job when I got home at the end of the day, was to fold them and put them in the plastic bags. And I'd hang them on my handlebars. And then I had my route.
I kind of forgot about that part until you just said it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to stuff them and put them in the plastic, and then you toss them onto the driveways as you drove around, I mean, my morning call is tossed on my driveway.
If your toss was bad, did you stop and go back?
Yes. I would never have had a bad toss.
I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah,
You like to cross the T's
tosses.
and dot the I's.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But we also had to do collections. So, like once a month, you'd have to go around and knock on everyone's door and get their money for their paper.
What an awesome skill, though, right? Like, think about the skills
Would my
you learn
child
as a little kid.
walk up to someone's door and ask? No,
Nope.
not anymore.
Wow, that's
No,
cool.
they'd say, Mom, can't they Venmo me the money?
And we wonder why people don't pick up phones.
Yeah, right, exactly.
All right. Well, all right, so you deliver the papers. You're how old doing that?
That was probably 12.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was a candy striper as well. So I did that also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back when you actually used to wear the stripes.
Oh, I had the stripes.
I don't think that's a thing anymore
overall,
either, but that
the
was
dress,
cute. Yeah.
The jumper. Yep. Had that too.
right.
The little white blouse. And then though my first like real job was at Spencer Gifts.
Oh, really?
Which is a whole different.
At the mall? Was that at the mall?
And y'all know what Spencer Gift Shop sells, don't you? Yeah.
Wow. Did your parents know what?
I don't think they did.
They were just happy you had a job.
They were unaware about that part of it, about that certain
That was an education on many levels.
Exactly.
Wow. Guess that's how the youngest learns things.
Exactly. That's pretty much it. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the mall, I
Cool.
know. Yeah, you'd get a 15-minute break. Go get your soft pretzel and.
Just gonna ask, what was your go-to snack at the mall?
Have you met me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We love carbs.
I know.
I know.
Exactly. So soft pretzel and soda. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
All right. What about high school? What was high school like for you?
Well, as I mentioned, I did. I was very lucky and fortunate to go to a private high school. That was all girls. I had a very small class.
Another thing we have in common.
Yes, I do. We do. It's true. 48 girls in my class. And I was nervous to go there, and I think that another sort of lesson is that I learned very much that going out of your comfort zone, you're going to be okay. Because that was very nerve-wracking for me. I didn't have any friends going there. All of my friends were going to different
And how far
high
was your
schools.
commute?
My commute was probably a good 40 minutes.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, so
Big
it
difference.
was jump on the bus, then they had to drop a couple of other kids off at different places, and then finally you got to school, and I really didn't know anyone. I mean, so that was hard, and I still remember that. I still remember sort of feeling very nervous and apprehensive.
It's amazing
about it.
though how when you force yourself out of your comfort zone, you do find rewards along the way. And I think it's such a good lesson to learn early on. It's harder to learn as you get older.
It is. Yeah. I know. And I think, again, you and I talk so much about our kids and so much about the differences. And I think that as parents today, we're apprehensive to force our kids too much out of their
We don't want
comfort
anyone
zone.
to be uncomfortable anymore.
I know.
Our parents didn't really think about that as much. And
Well,
I
they
think it's a
certainly didn't
gift.
care anyway.
Yeah. They were like, whatever. That's part of life.
Exactly.
So what happened in high school? What were you sort of drawn to? What was like academically? Do you remember particular clubs or projects or things that were special to you?
I do. I was in high school, I was also a cheerleader. So that was a lot of fun. And yes, it was for an all girls school, but it just built that camaraderie and we had a great time and it was just awesome to be involved at the school. And no matter what we were doing, as obviously as a very small school, it all mattered. But probably my favorite thing that I did in high school was English and writing and reading. So that also sort of, now looking back on it, I can see where that was also a very important influence on me. We had an amazing English teacher there who really made us love writing and reading. And I did her newspaper and was in journalism club.
It's so interesting. Well, of course, the similarities, of course, was no surprise that we're so close and when we're drawn to each other, because that was the same thing for me. And I feel like when you have someone who shows you the beauty of storytelling and the importance of everyone's story, it could be fiction, nonfiction, it didn't really matter. That always resonated with me.
Yeah.
And I loved the idea that maybe I could do something like that and connect with people on these amazing levels. And I don't know, it was just the beginning for me. So it's interesting to hear there's a beginning for you too.
I know, that is so,
cool.
It is.
That's something we haven't ever talked about.
That's true, we haven't. And actually now I'm thinking, wow, look, oh my gosh, I had no idea. It's so
great.
Yeah, it is great. It is great.
And then what happens next? Where do you go to college?
Yeah. So next is college at Temple. Temple proud, hashtag
Okay.
Temple proud,
Owls,
as Kelly
something,
says. Yes,
right?
Temple Owls, something.
Right.
Yes.
I shouldn't talk for the violence.
Oh my gosh,
what kind
exactly.
of mascot is that? I don't know. So, all right.
So so now college was for me a little bit of a discovery time. Right.
So like your youngest child came out finally?
Yeah, I think so, because I sort of and for somebody who sort of was like, I got this, and all of a sudden I got to college and I was like, wait, what? What am I doing? So I started off, which is, I think, by far the funniest thing, thinking that I could actually be a nurse.
Well, you have candy striped. And
That's true.
Okay.
So I thought, well, that
you like
should
to give
be
back,
great.
give back.
Yes,
okay.
but
how did that fell apart quickly?
Dissecting the cat.
That was it.
Oh, no. Yes,
No.
that was the end.
Well, at least you found out early.
I did. I mean, I cut through that cat. I hacked that thing so bad. It was horrible. And anatomy was just like, that was the thing that said, well, maybe we should think of another major, because you don't want to do that to a person ever. They actually encouraged us to take the cat home. So there was like this group of us who would walk around campus with these big black bags, and everybody knew that there was a formaldehyde cat inside.
Why?
To study the cat. It was
horrible.
really traumatizing. Yes, really. Yes, but
So what'd you switch into?
So, looking at the credits that I had and not wanting to be in school for the next 17 years, I just switched to psychology, which I loved. Loved it. And actually had some amazing professors that I did research with, did research in the Philadelphia School District with students in grade school. It was really such an amazing
Just
experience.
kind of an interesting foundation for the fact that now you fast forward 25 years and you do all this work for United Way.
I know.
That's all on education in schools.
Yes.
I don't
So
know. Do they know that you have that interesting foundation? I don't know.
think they
Probably
do.
not. but
I know,
that's-
because
yeah.
no one's ever asked me like you are
yeah.
right now, so thank you.
We'll get it out there.
I know. But the jobs in that sector were really difficult to come by. And again, just because I had always worked, I worked all the way through college in retail. And so for me, it was just sort of, hey, I have a college degree now. So it was a natural transition to just go into retail management training. And so that's what I ended up doing for a number of years, which was great. I loved that. And I learned a lot also working in the retail world.
You are very outgoing. You're a people person. So I'm imagining retail is a great fit. But what did you learn from sort of a business and customer service perspective that you didn't maybe know you were learning at the time, but you can look back and say that was really valuable?
Right. I think, well, a couple of things. I definitely learned the value of resources. And because what I did was I managed the departments that were commission-based. So you realized how important your salespeople were and how important the training was and how important their support was. So I think that was very important. And I also learned really about the strength of women. That's a very female-dominated industry. Even back then, not really in the very high up levels. It was still much more male-dominated, but within the levels where I was. So I think I had a lot of really important mentors at that time who taught me.
So important, right?
Yes.
And now we're sort of at the other stage.
Exactly.
Of life.
Exactly.
Hopefully mentoring. And it's,
I hope.
I know. And I think back to a lot of really important women to me early on in my career. And they really kind of motivate me every day. I think of them in different capacities and different experiences.
I know. And I do too. I think back and I remember some of the managers that I worked with and, regional and district wide. And I was so impressed.
Now, eventually you go back to get your MBA.
I do.
What drives that decision to go to Drexel and really shift gears pretty significantly?
Yes, I did. I think it was just really at the time, it was feeling a little bit like, I don't think this is exactly what I want to do. So no, I knew that I needed to make a shift. And I considered law school for a little while, but really when I did the deep dive into it, I think I knew that an MBA and more business school was definitely the route that I wanted to do. And so I did. I started, well, first I got married.
Well, I don't want to skip over Rich, but
Because he was in there.
yeah, well,
in
but he was at Drexel for his MBA too,
No,
but not
I
at the
started.
same time.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, so so in between all of that, I did meet my amazing, wonderful husband.
All right, how did you meet? You're a little bit of a cougar. We should point this out.
All right.
Well,
settle
it's
down.
true. It's true. Listen.
Settle down.
Wait.
So we met. I went to a friend of mine was having her engagement party, a dear friend of mine that I worked with in retail, amazing woman, Michelle. And she was about a year away from getting married, so I was her maid of honor. And we went to the beach for her engagement party. And I was there to be set up with one of the groomsmen who I had never met. And
I didn't know that part.
Yes, his name was Dean. And Dean and I were to be set up. She had this whole thing. She had us married off and 3 kids. Well, funny enough, the weekend before, he knew, like we both were aware that this,
setup was happening.
Exactly. Little Fiddler on the Roof action going on here. And so he met the woman who ended up being his wife the weekend before we met.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Really?
Yes.
Does he still come now this next weekend and say,
Yes.
I met this girl?
Yes. So he comes and he was like, I just met this amazing woman a week ago and she's so fabulous and everything. And I was like, whatever. Like I was very much like, whatever. I was just having a great time. And so Michelle's brother, who is 3 years younger than her, came to the party because it's a family thing, and out
brings his friend.
Rich. Yes. And to hear my husband tell it, he said he saw me standing in the driveway and he knew at that moment.
There is absolutely no doubt to see your husband and you together that he just knew. There's no doubt that it's just one of those couples and people where he's just very much in love with you.
He is.
Yes.
And vice versa.
It's a gift.
It's true.
But you can tell he was hit by that arrow.
Yeah.
Cool.
But he was a baby at the time. He was 21. I was 24.
That's a big difference at that age.
It is a big
really
difference.
Is. Like you're in a totally different place in your life and
absolutely. He was still in college. I was already working. It was, but, and you know him so well, he was always a little bit more mature than his age.
He's very grounded.
Very grounded.
Driven.
Yes, extremely driven. Yes. In fact, when he came, for example, he was working UPS and in their like engineering training program or something. And he came down after working a full night shift. 2 hours sleep, but his friend wanted him to come down to the beach with him, so he got up to come down to the beach with his friend. That's just the kind of person that he is.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And so how long do you date?
Oh, gosh. 3 years. 3 years.
And are you getting, you get your MBA after you're married?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to say, if you're willing to talk about it, you really have an interesting wedding story.
Oh, okay, that is true.
I can't help it. It's great. So you're with Rich, you get engaged, you go to get married.
Yes.
You go rollerblading.
We did.
A couple weeks before the wedding?
We
A
did.
week before? Just
we did.
A nice
We
day.
did.
Rollerblading was big in the 90s.
It
People
was.
have
It
to
was
remember.
very big in the 90s. Do not forget. And always remember
a
that
thing.
it's dangerous as well. So, we're so active and we're so cool. And so we have our rollerblades on, and we went into a neighborhood close by where we lived because it had hills.
Oh, that's a great idea.
You want to go fast, evidently. So we launch ourselves down this hill, and I am terrified within 5 seconds that I am going way too fast. It was, and I
With no idea how I'm going to
no
stop.
idea how to stop, not a clue how to stop. So I think, well, I guess I'll just head towards the grass. That's got to be helpful. So I started to go that way and actually ended up falling, and I fell right on my bottom and fractured my pelvis in 2 spots 1 week before my wedding.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
I know.
It's a great story.
It is a
though.
great
it's
story.
horrible, but
I know.
We're about to ship Katie Wallace, our
Right.
director of photography,
Stay
off to her
off.
wedding. So
Stay off
we're just
the
telling her don't do anything
place.
dangerous for the
Who
next
would
few
think
days.
that would be dangerous? I know, exactly. No one.
How'd you get down the aisle?
Crutches and a lot of painkillers. I was in the hospital for 5 days of those 7. I'm not kidding. It was crazy.
Was there anything that you didn't do prior to your wedding that a bride would normally do, like your nails or, I don't know, something that, like,
Yes.
because you were hospitalized, you just couldn't, you had to let go of?
Yes, that for sure. The nails, and there was a lot of time spent trying to figure out when the honeymoon would happen because it did not happen right away.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Amazing.
I know. But he
Now,
still married me.
He still married you and cared for you.
He did.
He didn't know he was going to take that in sickness part. So
Right away.
Right off the bat.
Immediately.
That's great. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, since we're talking about Rich, let's talk about your amazing family.
Okay.
You've got 4 beautiful children.
I do.
Tell me a little bit about your kids. And did you know you wanted a big family?
No, I didn't. I don't really even know how much we thought about it. I think that it was, one of those things where, and you may have had a similar situation where a very close friend had her first child. And so, we kind of looked at each other and said, oh, that looks like fun. Maybe we should give it a try, kind of thing. Like not really thinking it through. I think now people
definitely
think it through a lot more.
Yeah, we did not. It was like,
No.
you get married, you wanted a family, you just had the baby, you figured it out.
Yes. You had a baby.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then they just kept coming. Which
We have 3.
Wait, how did that
we have
happen?
3 really
Yes.
close,
Right.
basically.
Yes. We have 2 years apart. That was a lot of fun to have them all together. And then we had the whoopsie that we weren't really necessarily expecting 5 years later.
But the
but
absolute best bonus
best.
kind of kid
The
you
best.
can imagine. Yeah.
the best bonus.
It's like one of
kid.
those, your whole family kind of revolves around William.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little
And,
bit.
he's your baby.
Yes.
And you're the baby.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
I know.
great.
So 4 amazing, beautiful children who I couldn't be more proud of, every one of them. They're amazing kids.
Yeah, it's great. It's cool, and it's been so nice for me because your youngest and my youngest are close in age, or William's right between my 2 kids.
Yes.
But you've got the experience ahead of me, and so you've been there many, many times, giving me guidance and things that worked, things that didn't, what
Yes,
you do
but
differently.
here's funny.
It's
You
nice.
gave me guidance as the oldest sibling, right, of all of your kids and your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And so you were able to kind of always give me that insight as well. So I think we both have been able to help each other. Don't always assume, right? Don't always assume because a person necessarily hasn't gone through it that they don't have wisdom to offer.
That's interesting perspective. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Because as the oldest with a big blended family, it was a different perspective. And I had cared for a lot of my younger siblings.
Yes, you did.
In a parental kind of way on occasion.
Right.
More than on occasion. And so, I guess that gave me a different perspective. But
Yeah.
how did you balance? So you marry Rich, you get your MBA. Before you have kids, what are you doing?
Working. So at that point, I had changed industries, I guess. But I actually started to work in the family business. My father owned a company, a manufacturing company, and I really was ready to try something different. And he said, come on over and let's give it a try. Actually, every one of my siblings had already worked for him in some capacity, even if it was just doing work over the summer and learning the shop side of things. Whatever it was, they all did. I hadn't. So it was sort of my turn. And I really enjoyed it. It was a huge learning experience. Again, just kind of being thrown in and learning a whole new industry. And I think at that time, I probably learned how to rely on myself and to trust myself, that I was smart enough and I could do it, and it didn't take, an exorbitant amount of time to really get what was going on. So
That's cool.
Yeah. So that was
nothing
great.
like learning a business from the ground up from your dad.
Exactly.
What did you, when you think about that time, what did you really learn about your dad that you
Yep.
didn't know? Like
Yep.
all of a sudden he's mentor, boss.
Yep.
It's different.
Yep. Well, and probably similar to yours, when I grew up, my father was always working. He worked and we lived in Pennsylvania. He worked in New Jersey. So just the commute alone back then, was tough. And so we didn't see him a lot. He would eventually get home by dinner, but it was dinner on the table. That was it. And then we really didn't interact as much. So I always felt especially close to my mother, not so much to my dad when I was growing up, because he just wasn't there. And maybe in typical fashion, he went camping with the boys and they did the Boy Scouts together and they did the boy things together. So I didn't really have a very close relationship until we started to work together. And then I really learned, I learned how much of a salesman he was. So I learned a lot from him because he's an excellent salesman and he's a great communicator. Not so good with the other aspects of work, you know what I mean? So he knew how to have a support system that worked well to...
Well, it's interesting because a lot of times, when you have that entrepreneurial spirit, you connect with people, you know how to sell.
Yes, that's him.
The structure and the support underneath it definitely is a newer concept.
Right.
This idea that you'd gone to business school.
Exactly.
And, of course, you're talking about a time where really people forget, the internet's just coming into play.
Yes.
Things like Excel spreadsheets are just coming into play.
That's
this
very
was
true.
not something that was around in the 70s and 80s when people were building businesses or even prior.
Right.
So,
right. And so
why
I
would he have any knowledge of that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so but what was great is that I was instrumental in bringing a lot of those systems in. And even just inventory control systems, which he never had. So that was really fun for me to learn that and then implement it and make it happen. And he really was probably another reason why I did decide to go back to school, because knowing at that point how much I really was enjoying that part of my career, that's what really pushed me to say an MBA is where you want to be. So, he helped pay for it, which is something else that doesn't happen a lot these days.
Yeah, especially at that stage in your life where you're married. And,
right, but he did it as a business. He said, you're going to help build my business, so I'm going to
Invest in
support
that.
your education.
And then, much like myself, you took some years off to have your kids.
I did.
Tell me about that time and what was sort of the focus for you? What else you were doing besides working in the home?
Right.
You were always looking for opportunities.
Always.
Tell me about that.
Always volunteering, always looking for ways to work with community organizations in the Valley just to, stay involved and stay doing something. And then I just started to get the itch again. So I started to go into just sort of those home-based companies. So I picked up Southern Living at Home, which I worked out of my home, and you go to people's houses and you set up the party.
I mean,
right?
it's the same.
Exactly.
You got the itch. You're like, this is good.
I did.
It's
I had
part-time,
the itch.
It's flexible with your kids.
Yes.
It does have all those.
Yes.
It checks all the boxes.
It did. It did. And it was early enough in that I built my own team and I, rose up the ranks, and so it was great. It was great for the time that it was, that it worked, and so.
And then I scooped you up.
Exactly.
I'm skipping over a few things.
No, but it's true. So it was a slow transition sort of back into the more traditional workforce, which is where I knew I really wanted to be.
It's a little strange to ask you this because I'm sitting here asking you sort of about my business. And,
right.
And I say our business because we built it together. But tell me a little bit about those early days at ASR and what, from your perspective, what we were, I guess, setting out to do and what you were learning along the way.
Oh my gosh. I guess, I don't know that we knew exactly what we were setting out to do. I think that we had a big idea that if we got enough people sort of involved and understanding what our goals were, that everybody would sort of jump on board. But we had a lot of ideas that did not work. Yeah. We threw everything against the wall. We did.
We were like, just throw it against the wall.
Yes. But I think that's, again, another really valuable lesson that you've got to try everything you can think of. So when we were sort of building our show, The Peak TV, we assumed that everyone would find value in the commodity of just being part of the show. That's what we thought. We thought everybody is just going to want to be part of it, and that's all that's going to matter. They're going to be on WFMZ. When the reality was the opposite. They really needed what we could offer, which was the video asset. And being on the show, that was a nice little perk.
That was like their bonus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the perk.
Well, it was interesting because if you think about it historically, we were coming on to this concept right as social media was kind of starting and exploding.
Very much, yes.
And so now we're getting just enough time that we can look back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been contemplating this, thinking, well, we kind of came on board at a time where all of a sudden people were leading with video and leading with digital marketing. I mean, really slow.
Really
6,
slow,
7
though,
years
Ash.
ago.
Yeah.
But it was coming. The shift was happening.
The shift was happening, and so we definitely rode that wave. And I think that in the Valley, I think that we led that narrative. I think that goes without saying that it was
nice.
Well, I think that's for sure.
I hope
think
that's true.
Absolutely. I think that we were the ones out there and showing everyone. And the way that we did it, though, was unique. We were willing, you were, because it was really your business.
Team effort.
But, Katie can attest to this, that we were willing in the beginning to take some hits financially in order, knowing that ultimately the bonus would be there and it would eventually lead to business.
Well, and I should mention, we were very fortunate because we both have husbands who are really supportive, who have great careers, who said take this leap. And then we had really amazing supporters early on, like especially Ken Sidlow at St. Luke's and just people who...
Absolutely. And Frank and Tony from the Chamber.
Yeah, they helped drive the mission.
We did have champions.
They saw what we were doing and they said, let's get them there. And meanwhile, in the background, our husbands are like grinding away at their careers. So we could build this crazy thing. I just, props that we had all the right things in place to set us up for success. So
Correct.
I feel like it was just a great recipe and the right formula at the right time. But we fast forward.
Yes.
So we fast forward like 5-ish years to about a year and a half ago. 2 years almost.
About 2 years, I guess. It was really when ASR Media decided to partner for a short time with PBS 39. To give that a try, and which was a great experience for all of us.
Absolutely.
It was really amazing. But it just so happens that for me as an individual, when I went there, they were without a director of marketing. The amazing Jessie Hyman had just stepped out of her role to go start something new. And they came to me and said, what do you think? Can you fill in for us for a little bit? And I said, absolutely. I just want to make sure that I still am doing what I do for ASR. So that was sort of part of the stipulation.
And it was kind of a perfect bridge because
it really was.
You were working for both and we were working together with them, and it sort of all worked harmoniously. But as that unfolded,
right,
we started to have more clients that would say, can you do this?
Exactly.
Can you help with this? And, I had made a commitment kind of early on that I didn't want to expand beyond what I thought my expertise were.
Right.
And even though I was fortunate enough to have your expertise helping with us, I didn't really want to offer that as a service. And you and I kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
And so Social Tea was born.
Exactly. It was. And I think it was brilliant because we had talked about it for years and years. How much do we diversify? And so you very brilliantly said, I think the best for my brand is to stay focused with what I do best. And I'd like to see you potentially spin off, which is essentially what happened, and try your own thing. But don't leave my side. But give it...
Stay in my building.
Exactly. Stay in my building. Right. Stay close by. So we should mention,
because people who haven't seen our physical space, we then wrapped up our strategic partnership with PBS 39.
Yes.
We were looking for a new home.
Yes, we were.
And we literally found a home on Main Street in Hellertown, which is a beautiful old building that we had filmed for a yoga segment several years prior.
Right.
And it was one of those, just like stopping you in the driveway, where I drove by.
Saw the sign.
Saw the sign. I don't even know why I was in Hellertown, because I used to live on the other side of the valley.
Exactly.
And I called you, and you called a girlfriend, our friend Danielle, who's a realtor, and within like 24 hours we were looking at the building.
Right.
It just was one of those meant to be.
Without a doubt, it was meant to be. And every person that comes into this building, the moment you walk through the door, you feel it.
Yeah.
You just feel how different it is here.
And then we went on one more step. We said, well, if Social Tea is going to launch their business out of this building,
right,
could we be a collaborative space for other female entrepreneurs? And we approached our very good friend Sarah Dams from Surratt Design. She does lots of design work for us and for several of our clients.
And at the moment, when she and I were talking sort of behind the scenes,
I think at the time she had basically just had a baby.
Yes,
Isn't
she
the baby
did.
Was a baby.
Yes, the baby was a baby for sure. But she was saying, I feel like I might need a space, but I'm not sure, but I think I might want a space. So at the same time that all this is going on, she's already just sort of telling me,
Well, we were hearing it more and more. We were
Yes.
hearing more women that were saying, I work from home, I've got some clients,
Exactly.
I'm not really full-time, and maybe going, but I don't know if I need space. And it's a huge leap. I mean, as a business owner, to take on rent and all that comes with it, with the expenses, is a lot. It changes your bottom line significantly. Right. And so it was kind of cool that we were able to take this building, first and second floor, and ASR has the first floor.
Yes.
And then Social T has 2 offices upstairs, and Surat Design has an office, and now we have Ramane. So Ramane is our new tenant. She's here. She's a good friend, jewelry, and just beauty counter. And
Yes.
So anyways, that is our space. So
I know.
For people who don't know, talk a little bit about 410 Collaborative and why you wanted Social T to be in a space like this.
Sure. Well, again, because I consider myself having grown up even more so with you. So I wanted to stay with my family. There was no other place that I wanted to be. But I knew that there was an opportunity to really learn here, being in this space, and to learn even more. And so that's why I was all in 100%. It wasn't even a hesitation. But that's why I wanted Sarah to be part of it as well, because I knew that she was at a point in her business where she was ready to go. She was really ready to take it up a notch.
And there's something about committing to a physical space that gives you that launch pad that says this is real. You own it in a different way.
Yes.
And it's funny because I feel like I'm watching that happen with Ramane right now, who has a really amazing business. It's a very established business. She's not a startup.
No, she is not.
But she was feeling like it was time with her kids to kind of get out and get a space. And it's been interesting just in the few weeks she's been here. You can see and feel her transformation. And she's giving me lots of affirmation as well that this is the right kind of space. Some days I wish that this was like a 5-story house.
I know, I do too.
That we had offices for another
because
10 businesses.
Exactly, because that's how I feel. I would love to share this so much more with more women. And I think that, props to anyone who is out there, a woman who is working with a family, and even more so if you're trying to do it from home when you're really trying to establish yourself and you've got toddlers running around. And that was the shift that Sarah had to make, where she had to say, I'm also not only going to invest in myself, but I will invest in someone to take care of my children while I'm not there. Like, those are all big steps.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because you and I went through a similar journey, which was sort of being stay-at-home moms. And yes, we were volunteers in the community and we did a lot, but that always comes second to the family when that's your primary career. Right. But to make the shift to being a part of a business and building a business and starting a business, what has that been like for you? And what have been kind of the emotions and things you've gone through? Because I think it's important for women to know the reality of it.
And not only for women to know the reality, but also to know that if that's what you're feeling right now, totally normal.
Totally normal.
Right? Yeah. So I think that there was in the beginning, and I think it was, I hate to use the word training, but it was really a little bit of a training for all of my family to go through, to realize that I wasn't going to always be available. And if I wasn't always available, that's okay. So it took a little bit of getting used to, and my older kids had me for a long time. My youngest, of course, was totally used to it. He's never questioned it, never even...
Right, he doesn't really remember.
No, he doesn't. He's always known me working. So for him, it wasn't a shift. But even for my husband, especially in the beginning, to understand that I get it, that you have to be to work by 7:30. You've got an important meeting, but I also have an important meeting.
I always say it's like changing the rules of the game a little bit. It doesn't mean that it's bad.
Of course.
But it's everyone's learning new rules.
Yes.
And you're learning it yourself to own it.
I know.
And be okay with it. I think that's sort of the first step. Every woman that you talk to, the struggles are the same in some ways, but they're also unique in that it's your own journey.
Right.
Yeah, that part's... Yeah.
I know. And I wish that I could tell more women, if, there's one thing I could do, I would tell more women to just step outside of that comfort zone. For so many women who did what you and I did and stayed home for those years and took care of our children, it would have been simple for us to still keep it all in a pretty neat and tidy, organized box. But we shook it up, and we shook it up big.
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't.
It's a lot of...
It wasn't. But if you and I didn't have Katie, and if we didn't have each other to lean on...
Right.
I don't know
that
we could have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going at it alone, I don't know if anyone really has that set of
No.
kahunas.
Yeah.
Right? I'm being polite.
I want to ask you a couple things before you go.
Yes.
The first is tell me a little bit about Socialty Marketing and PR.
Thank you.
Tell me about your company and what's your vision? Where are you headed?
Oh my gosh, I know. It's a little nerve-wracking to think about my vision, where I want to go. But anyway, we specialize in PR, communications, social marketing, digital marketing, for a number of small companies, and well, not actually, one of them is a relatively large company here in the Valley. But we that's essentially what we specialize in, is digital marketing and telling people stories. I love the communication side of it. I love that relationship. I love really getting in and understanding a brand and then representing it to everyone on the outside. So I have United Way of the Greater Lehigh Valley is one of my very important clients. I adore them as an organization. They're amazing in what they do in the Valley is. And so my team has worked very hard to build their brand in the Valley and make sure that everyone else knows about it. So that's what we work towards, and we work with a great team there. And then, but I also do something also that's kind of fun and cool, is I also do all of the marketing and PR for 2 campuses for St. Luke's University Health Network, an amazing organization that's growing by leaps and bounds. And so my connection, knowing Ken Sidlow through the Peak TV for all of these years, Ken and I have worked together. He asked me if I'd like to join his team as a consultant. And so I do that as well. And I do all of that, those 2 campuses, one of which is being built, which is really exciting work.
So cool to be a part of a new hospital.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But because what I think I find the thread between all of them is really the give back part, and how I'm finding that's kind of falling into be my niche, I think, a little bit.
Well, of course, I mean, that's so important to us.
I
think
know.
that what we believe in is very similar, and giving back to the community.
Exactly.
But you're also working with a lot of smaller nonprofits. You do work with Good Shepherd.
Exactly.
You're doing work with a number of places. Any Given Child.
Very
and
exciting.
it's cool to watch it grow. And of course, it's fun to collaborate together. And
I know.
I'm so proud of you. I'm
Thank you.
eternally proud of you, eternally grateful to you. I really mean that. Without you and Katie, it just wouldn't be possible. I don't just say that, it is the truth. But it's been fun to be on this journey, and now we're watching our work baby grow up.
Exactly.
She's
go off and get married. Well, she knows though, when she has the baby,
we have a room for
exactly.
her. Yeah.
We have a room for
we'll
the
offer
baby.
on-site daycare.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll
Closets make great rooms for babies.
They're fine. Oh, don't worry. You'd be amazed what they have to put up with and get through and grow up.
That's the easy part.
Bassinet in the closet is not the worst thing in the world.
They used to go in drawers.
Exactly.
In the olden days. It's an old house. All right. Before I let you go, we do a little rapid fire thing here. All right. So just quick questions about yourself.
Okay.
What is the best place that you've ever been, that you've ever traveled to?
Paris.
You love Paris.
I do just
with you.
love it. I do. And I love London too, but Paris. That's it.
All
Paris.
Right. What is one place that you've never been that you hope to go? Bucket list.
Yes. Actually, the Scottish islands. All of the ones that are way up in, I think it's the North Sea. I hope I'm not. Yes.
Not not my thing.
That is where I would love to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could have one final meal, what would be your favorite meal? Like, what would be on that plate? Probably like a bagel, a pretzel. A croissant.
Exactly. Oh yeah, actually, there you go.
Let me choose your final meal for you, Tina.
I think it'll be a Starbucks chai tea latte.
Some wine.
Yeah, wine and a chocolate
croissant. Yeah.
There you go.
Carbs. Oh my gosh. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, past or present, who would they be?
Wow. I think I would love to Steve Jobs. I would love to meet Sarah Blakely from Spanx. I'd love to have dinner with her.
That's interesting comment. All right.
Yeah. And probably my last would be Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book? Is there a book that comes to mind that you feel really strongly about? It can be fiction, self-help, doesn't matter. Just a book that means something to you.
Right. I love to read, and I love voraciously. Or I read voraciously, rather. So I do really enjoy.
You also love voraciously.
I do love voraciously. That's very good. I do. Don't cut that, Dakota. I love and read voraciously. But a book that that I think really still resonates with me, I know this is going to sound kind of odd, but Charlotte's Web. I just love that book, and I love everything about it. And I still just remember reading it the first
that
time
makes
to
me
this
want to
day.
reread it. You
I
saying
know.
it is
Yeah.
such a childhood. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And then my last question, not to put you on the spot, but who's your very favorite client?
ASR Media Productions. Absolutely. 100%. Yes.
Tina Hagen Hasselbusch.
That's me.
I love you.
I love
you.
you.
Are the best.
You're
You
the
are
best.
really are. For people who don't know you, they're missing out. If they haven't met you, they should meet you. If they need your services, they should call you.
Oh my gosh.
But if they have the chance just to interact with you in any capacity, you're out and about in the Valley all the time. Social team marketing and PR.
Thank you. And thank you for everything that you've done for me and for letting me hitch onto your rising star, because it's been such an amazing ride. So
Love you.
thank you. I
We're
love
so
you.
grateful to have you here. You guys have been listening to Unscripted with Russo. Until next time.